Oh, no, are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay. First meeting with the new administration, Monteagle City Hall. Excuse me, I lost my voice. We're doing a test run here. Are we looking good?
You keep on good. Yeah, just keep on going.
It's snowing outside.
It's snowing. Tell us more about it.
It's beautiful, and it's almost tomorrow's the first day of December, so it's really putting us in the Christmas mood. But everybody be safe. If you're coming to the meeting or if you're just out and about, be safe. And I think we're about ready to rock and roll here.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
She's up.
Thank you.
All right. So good. Do you hear the sound? All right, everyone. Is it a day? Is it?
She's gone and she's still talking.
All right. As we're getting ready for the meeting to begin and the changing of the officers, if y'all could just indicate whether we have a good sound here. This is our first time here at the meeting arena and with this new technology. So we want to know how our sound is doing. So please give us all kind of feedback, anything that that we need to be doing differently here on this Facebook Live video, let us know. Right now we're live at Monteagle City Hall. This is the swearing in of the new Monteagle Council. The mayor herself has already gotten sworn in, but she's going to be now swearing in the new council. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And we've got a sound system. I hear you just fine. That's for the speaker. Well, I think the speakers are going to be doing good. So we tested those, Donna, and I think we've got it. Karen says sounds good. Way to go. So Marilyn is going to be doing that. We've got a full house, standing room only. Everyone here that has attended has gotten their temperature checked. We've got one way in, one way out. We got masks. We got social spacing. I'm going to kind of do a roundabout here. A roundabout. Look at how fancy that is. Ooh. Hey, everyone. All right. Boom. Okay, so you can see we're COVID friendly here at Monteagle City Hall, and for those who are just having some snow cream and the joy of their own home, hallelujah, right? Okay. She was a little low, but you're fine. All right, Matt, thanks so much. And that was just from the microphone here from my phone. So once the speakers start, we have a sound system here now, and I think we should be able to hear more. But keep me posted, and we'll just go from there. So thank you, Matt. All right, any questions here while we're waiting? We've got a few more minutes till we start. I know the mayor is very, oh, look at that, is very into being timely. So I'm sure we'll be starting here on time, which is a wonderful thing. Kayla, are you excited? We're taping here. We're also doing, woo, you little short thing.
I know. I am excited. I think I'm more excited about the snow.
You're such a jerk. I hate snow. Bah humbug.
I know.
Bye humbug.
Oh, still look.
Hey, Susie. Yeah, you're very welcome. This is by the request of the new mayor and the council, and we will be doing this at the monthly meeting. This is what they had chosen. It'll also be aired on GCTV 6 on Ben Lomond, and then also Charter on the Mountain. I believe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think she's going to have a set schedule. So if you like to see it on TV as opposed to your phone, or your laptop or your desktop, then we'll have options. But that is our direction at GCTV 6, is to film all the meetings and make sure y'all are up to date on everything. That was a campaign promise pretty much by everyone who just got elected. They wanted to make sure that y'all knew what was going on, full transparency. So this will be the first meeting of the new council. Carol, you are very welcome. Thank you.
Oh, no school tomorrow either.
No school tomorrow. That's precious. They can virtual.
I know. Well, see, that's what Kyla's like. Is that, Mom, I said, honey, y'all do have some allotted snow days, but if they start that mess, that's what virtual is for.
That's what virtual's for. There's no more snow days. Apparently there is.
Apparently so.
Well, they got a plenty of snow days, right?
I don't know if they have. I think there's several. I think, but I mean, there's two.
I totally forgot.
I mean, I'm good.
I'm fine. We're sitting next to each other.
I can't promise I don't have coffee breath.
I wish I had coffee. Did you have some?
I had some before I left. She's got Ross right now.
Ron! Alrighty.
Yeah, we'll put Rory right there.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Yes, my dear. Hi, yeah, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
How's his weather like road conditions now?
Had a little trouble getting up here for Jenny.
Oh my, yeah.
Stops.
Alright, has anybody got something hot to drink right now? Kayla's been teasing me with some coffee that she already had.
Yeah, and I had the cookie, the elf guy cookie creamer too.
Oh, look at you. We're gearing towards Christmas. We have another snow day here in Grundy County. What about Monteagle?
I don't know. I don't know.
They were in school today.
Well, I think since they like started in September and everything, I don't know their deal with snow days. Maybe some of our viewers might be able to answer that question because I really don't know.
Me neither.
In 2 minutes, we'll be ready to go.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
You like that light?
Yeah, I like that. You're gonna see it for a minute after you look away.
I get one of those. I got one ring of fire. Got one of those fancy ring lights here. Yeah.
No. So apparently there's some trouble on the roads in Altamont.
Oh, Maria's posting out in
Altamont.
Altamont?
Yep, Altamont's got some issues.
I was questioning whether I was going to get out of the driveway a few minutes
Your
ago.
driveway is treacherous.
It is treacherous. And I drove the truck today, or tonight. I don't know how to put it in four-wheel drive, though, so I'll have to figure that one out.
Huh.
I'm sure it's easy.
It's about, yeah.
It's in the floor. I'm sure it's easy. There's a fella here who knows how to do it.
I mean, I've had four-wheel drive vehicles. I think I can help you figure that out. I do know some things.
You can call your daddy.
No.
This is Morning on the Mountain with Iva and Kayla, but it's morning on the night. It's night on the mountain.
Not on the mountain. It's a snowy night.
It's a snowy night on them. Hope Tim made it home okay.
Well, he
Little,
left for, well, yeah. No, it started snowing at that time.
it started snow. It was snowing when I was in the driveway at the studio. I was really not happy. Angie Burnett said that the storm spotter meeting has been changed to December 3rd, FYI.
Oh, wait.
All right, so you can hit the push the button. All right, so is it? Should be.
Yeah. What's the one question?
Yep. Did I?
Hello.
Yes.
We're getting ready to start the meeting for November the 30th, 2020. But one of the things, we will be recording live, and we will be recording tonight. So I just want to let everybody know that it will be televised. We will be working out a schedule with GCTV, but we're also going as far as doing the FaceTime Live. We'll be doing Facebook Live. Excuse me, the girls look at me like it's whatever, but we will be doing those for records from this point on with our meetings, okay? So we're going to go ahead and, I was sworn in by Dwight Minklin as the mayor on November the 19th, 2020. So what I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with, I'm going to swear in my council one at a time. Whoever wants to come first. Okay. And we're going to use Jessica Fowler's grandmother's Bible, which is going to swear.
Oh. Everybody turn off their phone.
Okay, if you want to hear that, please, and then put your hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will perform with fidelity the duties of the office
I will perform with fidelity the duties of the office
to which I have been elected
to which I've been elected
and to which I am about to assume.
and to which I'm about to assume.
I do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of Tennessee
I do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of Tennessee
and of the United States.
and the United States.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully perform the duties
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Alderman
of the office of Alderman
for the town of Monteagle, so help me God.
for the town of Monteagle, so help me God.
On this day, the 30th of November, 2020, you'll be sworn in as an alderman for Monteagle. Thank you, Jessica. And I need you to sign this document, and then I'll sign. And then we'll just carry on with that and just start a meeting. Deb, I'll get you to notarize these. So I know I'm just gonna give this man a shout out to you. And we'll just go with this paperwork, and as I know that. Just like this.
And they turn.
Nick, raise your hand. Repeat after me, please, sir. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will perform with fidelity the duties
that I will perform with fidelity the duties
of the office which I have been elected
of the office which I have been elected
and which I'm about to assume.
and which I am about to assume.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of Tennessee
to support the Constitution of Tennessee
of the United States.
of the United States.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Alderman
that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Alderman
for the town of Monteagle,
for the town of Monteagle,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Now, you're now sworn in as an alderman. You'll sign there, then I'll sign. And Debbie will notarize them, please. You want to go there with? Okay.
Get Roy strolling in.
Jessica. We'll do it like this, how's it work? Okay, if you repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will perform with fidelity the duties
I will perform fidelity the duties
of the office which I have been elected
of the office in which I've been elected
and which I'm about to assume.
and which I'm about to assume.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of Tennessee,
to support the Constitution of
Tennessee
Tennessee and the United
and the
States.
United States.
And the
I
United
do
States.
solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform the duties
I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Alderman
of the office of the Alderman
for the town of Monteagle,
for the town of Monteagle,
so help me God.
so help me God.
You're now sworn in with the city council. Let's turn it around. Okay, there you go, man. Repeat after me, please, ma'am. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will perform with fidelity the duties
that I will perform with fidelity the duty
of the office in which I have been elected
of the office of which I have been elected,
and which I am about to assume.
which I'm about to assume.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of Tennessee
to support the Constitution of Tennessee
and of the United States.
and the United States.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of Alderman
the duties of the office of Alderman
for the town of Monteagle,
for the town of Monteagle,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And now sworn in. Will you sign your document, please? The next thing we're gonna do is begin with prayer, and I have asked, my pastor and another pastor to be here, to walk out, and of course to do our prayer, to pray over the council and over the town of Monteagle as we begin our duties before we start. And y'all can stand, or if y'all want to stand, you're welcome to. Whatever y'all feel ready.
Thank you for being here. Just have a couple of things to quick say. I appreciate longtime mentor Pat for joining me from Northern Virginia. Appreciate Mayor Rodman for asking us to attend. Marilyn, Ron, and her husband, last 7 years, I've got to watch a lot of good positive growth. But observe the desire to grow as a person in Maryland and to develop positively in all areas of the life she's committed to. And I just appreciate that from a personal perspective. Matthew 20:26 says, "Whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant." Each of you have shown a desire to lead Maryland and this board, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I want to challenge Maryland as well as the board not to forget the importance of serving. This is not an opportunity to serve our own interests, but a wonderful opportunity to serve the people that have elected them, common interest that really helps the benefits of everyone. Proverbs 11:14 says, "Where there is no guidance, the people fall, but in abundance of counselors, there is victory." God can guide us to many things that we can accomplish for the good of everybody, and I agree with that. I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm going to ask my longtime mentor, Pat, if he would comment and say a prayer over the
All right. Sorry to make you all stand while we do this, but I have a few short comments I want to make. It's such an honor to be here. I drove down from near Washington, D.C., the place where I live in the upper Shenandoah Valley, just to be here. My friend Marilyn Rodman asked me to be here. And God bless all of you. I'm so thankful to see us making our pledges on the Bible. If you're a Bible reader, you will have noticed that in the Old Testament particularly, we have the long, near 2,000-year history of Israel in the Old Testament, which is not only the history of moral successes and failures, but also a history of political struggles within that nation and other nations. Difficult decisions, both moral and ethical, had to be made by kings, judges, prophets, and other leaders. The wise men that you referred to, that Solomon spoke of, that advised kings and leaders, priests who advised prophets who counseled kings. We see this throughout the Bible. David being mentored by Samuel, the prophet. Solomon the king being mentored by several great men that were spiritual. And the last good king of Israel, Josiah. When the prophet Jeremiah was a young man, God spoke to him and said, "Your calling and your ministry will be to pull down, to pluck up, to destroy." What he was referring to were all the immorals that had taken over Israel during his time. How could Jeremiah, a relatively unknown prophet, do that? He did it by mentoring the young king Josiah. And through Josiah, who was the civic or magisterial force, Jeremiah was able to mentor him. They worked hand in hand. And Jeremiah taught the pulling down of wickedness, the uprooting of ungodliness, and the moral and ethical decisions that had to be made. And Josiah carried those out with civic authority. I'm glad that Mayor Rodman is a churchgoer. I'm glad that so many of you, I see you aldermen coming into office swearing on the Bible and pledging. I see many of you nodding when scriptures are quoted here tonight, and such things are done. I rejoice that in a city such as this one, we have believers in God who look not only for God's guidance, but also for God's help. And I thank God for pastors like Roy Wood, who helps to counsel and mentor a great woman like Marilyn Rodman, and so many great people like you as you navigate through decisions that are not only economical, but also decisions that are far-reaching as I repeat, moral and ethical grounds that will affect future generations in these nearby counties and in this city. So let us pray. Father God, in Jesus' name, we ask you to put your hand upon this administration for this city. We ask you to blow your breath into it. We ask you to nudge and guide opposing forces, conflicting ideas through the wisdom of God. We ask you to pour your wisdom upon this mayor and her council and upon all other civic officials that have to speak and perhaps sometimes counter and argue with points that are being made. In all of it, God, guide and find your middle ground of the greatest wisdom. Help us, O Lord, in America. Help us in Tennessee. And help us, Lord, in Monteagle. Bless us to do this work for our time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Next will be the pledge. Jesse, did you get in here? Joey? Yeah, Joey got along. Joey's a veteran, and we've asked you to do the pledge tonight, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This one, yeah, this one's on too. We'll have to share the microphone tonight. Okay, folks. Okay. Okay, we have, minutes from the last meeting, but there wasn't their minutes, so we really can't approve those, so we're just gonna pass on that one again. And first, we're gonna start with committee reports. We'll start out with police department. You do have a report in your packet, Jack.
I had a question for you earlier today. Any questions on that before?
The council hasn't had a chance to look at it, so if you don't mind to go through it. Is your mic on, Jack? Yeah, you got a mask on.
The council have a copy.
Yeah, that I got a copy of.
Okay. Any questions about the report?
We have, you care just to read through what you've got as far as what's going in it, and it's the time frame.
There was 3 theft and larceny. That means there's been 3 people arrested. There was 1 simple assault, 1 domestic assault, 3 vandalisms, 4 burglaries. They're actually picking up, which they pick up around this time of year. There was 1 drug related, 1 trespass, criminal trespass, and we have had 9 accidents, and there's 20 citations that have been written so far.
You can see on the bottom here the fines and the amount collected.
The total collected on the fines is $2,240.25.
I did get a message today, and I was gonna, it's a very long message, but I wanna read it to the council, it didn't come in till later. And it was actually one of the businesses, it was from, Mrs. Northcutt that works for Jerry Don.
Can you use the microphone?
Oh, yes, sorry. I have to hold it at the same time. Okay, it was from Mrs. Northcutt that works for Jerry Don Thomas.
Cindy?
Yes, and she said that, I just wanna send out a word of praise on the police department. A lot of times people don't realize that they're needed or wanted, but she said, we've had the chief and people call us, come into our businesses and let us know that we are important and to check on us. She says, I just wanna give a shout out because it is important that we matter as businesses and that you're always doing that. So, just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate that.
Hats off that people are saying, and of course, we'll be talking about it later, but then tomorrow we're gonna meet with you all about the parade.
Right, that's
And the
correct.
extra things we're doing to be CDC safe, during this time.
I have to send a shout out to my guys too,
Okay.
because they do a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Well, it didn't come in till late, or, would have sent it to you, it came in on my personal messenger, so, but I wanted to make sure that y'all knew it, so,
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
you're welcome. Next, we'll have the fire department, we have the fire chief that's out there. Okay. All right, go ahead.
We've run a total of 16 calls this month. 1 lift assist, 3 brush fires, 6 vehicle fires, 2 LZs, 1 mutual aid, 3 rescue injuries. That's a total of 16 calls. We also have training starting January after the holidays to last through August to get everybody state certified and certified in 7 different courses. And that way everybody be up to date on everything and ready to go.
Anyone have,
running good?
Yes.
All the trucks?
no, do you have any questions? Go on.
No, not right now.
Jessica B, do you have any more? We have 2 Jessica now.
I do have a question. When you say paid calls, does that mean you're getting reimbursed from the insurance company for those calls?
It depends on what we use. Like if we use any of our materials, we can turn them into the insurance company and get refunded for those.
So it's only materials, you're not refunded on a per call basis?
No, well, this paid calls, well, I just got to report, but, yeah, we get $15 a call. So I just put it on there as paid
Oh.
calls. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
I got
they
paid
get
calls,
paid.
as in
Yeah.
the firemen were paid.
Yes.
I got you. Not that the town was paid for the service provided.
But now, Darren, you still have the process that there's certain calls, I don't know why I'm gonna do that, but there's certain calls, maybe mine, that we do get paid for that, right? They're turned into the insurance and they're collected for us,
Yes.
like it used to be. Is that still done through a company?
I'm not sure, we haven't used one in a while, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how's that working as far as getting paid from the insurance companies?
So far, we haven't had to use any of our stuff since I've been in here.
Okay.
So are you talking about if we have a fire on the interstate, a truck fire, do you bill that trucking company for it?
Yes,
Okay.
because we use foam to put on that fire, or build them, so we buy more.
And
But you don't bill them for your time, you just
No.
bill for material.
No, just for the material.
and that also happens with house fire stuff.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, because a lot of insurance policies have it built in, that pays so much back to the fire department, so they can bill for that. Or they used to,
That's all I have.
Which we'll be seeing you again, thank you again,
Yes.
but we'll be seeing you tomorrow, so we can have you guys there for this
9:15.
weekend. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Okay, 911 is one that's in Okay, Fluff's not here. You do have, I think, a report in the package. No reports. Okay. Alright. Then, we're not going to do, I think, we'll do an activities report later, because we're not really doing Parks and Recs. Utility manager, Mr. Condra? Yeah, we got it. If you gave us one, we got it. Well, then we don't have it, so give us a report for us.
Well, we're just doing a lot of the Christmas stuff, and I've got the guys up at the water plant, they're doing some painting inside and everything. Getting it look better for the state. We've got an inspection coming up on the wet well, I think next week, unless they cancel it. The 2 water tanks and the wet well out to the water plant. So we'll see how that goes, about what they find on the water tanks.
Just gonna check your microphone, I think we're getting some feedback on that. I think it's that one.
Does somebody have a hearing aid?
No, I don't think so. We're gonna buy a sound system tonight, we have one on loan, so I apologize, but at least maybe you can hear us better than what you did in the past. You know, cause we said we would have a sound system as well, so, but when we get ours, hopefully we won't have that much feedback. This is the first time we use it. One of the things that is, well, open tonight is the bidding on the backhoe. Do you wanna explain why we need a backhoe and it'll come out of utilities, which we have the funding for it? And then we do have a bid open on that tonight if we wanna ask about it.
We've had 2 for a long time, and the oldest one, we had the transmission rebuilt about 6 years ago. And it was about, I think, about $6,000.
Yeah.
About $6,000. It's 2-wheel drive. And give me some bids on another 4-wheel drive. So if we're out, just say we're out Timberwoods or somewhere with our backhoe, we'll have to come in and get gravel, or if we have another leak, the other guy can take another guy and go to whatever leak we got instead of being bound up with one backhoe. They're just so handy. We use it down at the sewer plant, just everything. And this one I'm getting bids on the front bucket. I've got them to go ahead and include a clam, what's called a clam bucket. So like when people piles of brush out, they pick that brush up and then put it in, don't have to pick it up in the hand or run it up and down the road with a bucket trying to scoop it up. Help them to pick it up too. But it's a needed thing, and we got the money in the utility budget. I mean, it's just the other one, me and Keith talked about it, we just don't see trying to fix it again.
Will we surplus that out? I know we talked
We'll
about
trade
the,
it in.
you will do a trade in on it, so that was part of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, part of it.
And there are 3 bids here tonight, if we wanna open those and agree with the process of the backhoe.
Do those 3 bids include the trade-in value?
Yeah.
So it's a net?
Yeah.
Net cost.
So do you want Debbie to go ahead and open them and we can look at those? I mean, that's, what do you wanna do? Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell me if there's just do them. I'll let you go.
Okay, the first one is from Contractors Machinery. Louisville, Tennessee. Okay, this is for a new case 580, the backhoe, and it is $115,000.
Here's the first one.
The second one is from Contractors Machinery Tri-Cities in Kingsport, Tennessee.
And then John and Henry, you wanna look over and see if they're. And Brett, if anything else to look at them, cause y'all both use this, but it's a.
This one is for a new case 580 with a trade-in, and it's $115,433. This one is from Diamond Equipment in Laverne, Tennessee. This is a new case, 580, and it's $79,000.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, and we'll pass that down and let John and both review those, but there's quite a bit of difference in. And you can look and see if they're comparable whenever they get finished with them.
Are these two companies the same company?
No.
Contractors Machinery, they have the same name. They're
What's
not
the
franchised to the same company.
They're different companies.
Cause this one's out of Louisville, Tennessee, and that one's out of Pittsburgh.
Check the addresses. I mean, is it totally?
Well, they both say Contractors Machinery.
Oh, I don't know how to say it.
Okay, this one's a 1-year unlimited hours. Well,
It doesn't say
coverage
the
base
name.
limited warranty.
Well, we've
1
dealt
year
with
unlimited
Diamond
hours.
Equipment before,
Okay.
and they're all different.
This one's offering $79,000 with a warranty.
Right.
And some trade-in value.
If you don't, when y'all get finished, I'm gonna hand them to John and let him review those, because we did talk about this today, and he said this company is closer and probably more local they've worked with, and that wasn't, he hasn't seen these, nobody had their seal, but that may be one of the differences.
Well,
You deal with them, you know.
when I talked to the other gentleman about getting bids, they told me on the phone that they would bid on it, but they wouldn't be able to compete with Diamond Equipment. No, they told me that themselves.
So they don't charge you extra for the AM, FM, Bluetooth radio, or the tilt steering wheel, or?
Does it get air conditioning now? That's the next thing.
Yeah.
Does it get that with it? No. It is back, because I'm sure you get hot. So, here you go. Well, it's 79,000 on this one. I'm gonna let him look at that. John, and Budget, you wanna look at them as well? That's, even though if you water and sewer, sometimes you're doing water and sewer, so. We multitask on our positions here.
One Diamond Equipment, I mean, they're close to that thing, you need parts for it.
Based upon your expertise, I mean, not only knowing the people, John's gonna go turn them later.
Yeah.
But, which one would you recommend? I mean, we know
Well, like
there's
I said.
45,000.
Yeah.
It's 35.
And Diamond Equipment's just in Laverne. So if you have any problem or whatever, they can come and pick it up, or we can go get parts or whatever.
What is the age of the one we're replacing?
Oh, probably 30-year-old.
Okay.
It's probably, like I said, we redid the transmission, 6-7 years ago. It's just not worth it anymore, money. And
So
you do need to, and we have had water leak before, remember, we had to get a local contractor to come out and help us with another backhoe.
What's the age on the other one you have?
About 5 years old, 6, 25, 26 years old.
No, I'm just talking about the new one.
The new one.
Oh, the new one.
I'm trying to get a sense of,
About 6 years old, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
so, but 20 years is probably a useful service life, so if we were to buy this, we could expect it to go that long.
Right.
Well, you can expect it, or expect anything to go up.
You've seen my back
Expect a
up.
lot.
You know how bad mine is.
Based upon your recommendation, you're saying, John, it's not only the cost difference, but also the warranty and everything that goes with that. Since it is a, cost of 79,000, Debbie will ask us. Yeah, we need a motion and a second, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
I make a motion, we go with Diamond for the 79,000.
I think he told, didn't he tell us it'd be about 3 months before we get to that order, 2 to 3 months, I think he said.
But is that standard? I mean,
Yeah.
that's for all of them, right? Well, they're gonna let you borrow one, too.
Well,
Don't hurt to ask. second.
Okay, we're gonna do roll call vote. Nate?
Yes.
Doreen?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Jessica?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes. And that's for 71,000, correct? Yes. I did that. Do you have anything else, John?
No,
While you're here, I know it's sort of out of order, if it's okay if we do this. We do have a grant that we can apply for. Most of the council's aware of it. It's an ARC grant. It's due on December the 4th, which is Friday, you know, we believe in deadlines, but it's up to $500,000 for infrastructure. It'd only be 20%. John's aware of it, Thunder's aware of it, Earl's aware of it, and we do need an engineer to do this. So Travis, could you come up, please?
Sure.
Travis is with S&Me. Yep. S&Me out of Murfreesboro. We did talk to a couple of different engineers this week, and based upon John's recommendation and just hearing them, then we've asked Travis to come tonight. If you want to do a short presentation, 3 or 4 minutes, just to tell the folks where you're at and what all you've done, then we can go in the process of hiring an engineer tonight to work with these.
Sure. My name is Travis Wilson. I actually live in McMinnville. Civil engineer, licensed in 7 states, perform water and sewer work all over the southeast United States. Our project team has a plethora of experience with water, sewer, utility projects. We're located in offices throughout Tennessee. We have an office in Knoxville, one in Chattanooga, one in Nashville, and all over the southeast. We have 34 offices, 1,100 employees. Our project team in the water business unit, predominantly here in Tennessee, located in Middle Tennessee. Work with a lot of small utilities, a lot of larger utilities, so I'm very familiar with small rural communities, the budget constraints that exist in small rural communities, the needs that they have, and as well as working with larger cities and municipalities that have larger needs, and so we're very well set to take care of both large and small. So I'm local. I have kin folks that live in Grundy County, and I'm close by and easy accessible, just to run up the mountain from McMinnville. So I like the opportunity to work with the town of Monteagle. I think it'd be a good opportunity.
Jessica, I think you were the only one that didn't get to meet Travis the other day. Do you have any questions for him? The one requirement we had, he has to meet this deadline for this pre-app by Friday, and he said he could do it. And Beth Jones was here with him, the director of Southeastern Development, and this is just an ARC grant that we're just doing the pre-app for. It doesn't cost us anything. We have to have an engineer to work with John and with everyone actually, and he has the background with everything we need now. So, do I hear a motion that we hire? SME. So, and of course Travis is right now the point of contact that would be working with us, you know, but they have, he said, multiple folks we could work with.
I make the motion. We hire SME.
What are the terms we're hiring him on? Is this a retainer? Is this an hourly rate? How are we setting this contract up? Have we talked
Well,
about
that's
that?
what we'll have to set up. Just we have to find a firm. On this one will be hourly, probably for this first grant application. Then we'll set up a contract that is doable.
So
what
we're
would
just
be your?
Typically that goes project by project and whatever the needs are, and so typically if you don't need an engineer for anything, then we don't do any work, and so you don't pay for anything. And so it's as you need assistance for engineering needs, then we would provide whatever engineering assistance based on the project or grants that come about. And so most of the time we work off an hourly basis, and the scope of the project, we provide a proposal to the town municipality, and with estimated fee and scope and hours, and then typically that be approved or negotiated, and then we perform that work, and that be project by project basis.
So that's yet to be determined. That'll be determined
after
with
we
the
do
mayor?
this first project, because he could not give us the amount to meet the deadline, if you know, when we discussed it the other day. If we did say that we wanted to go ahead and do the pre-app, and we cannot do it without an engineer. So this firm would be using for that, and then we could actually, you know, negotiate project to project, as he said. Whether it be ARC, whether it be CDU, what is your average, do you know the rate of the, you know, estimated rate? We're not gonna lock you into, you know, like, we did get a fee from the attorney.
It depends on the level of engineer that is needed, and so we have, engineers based on, and GIS folks, survey folks, that are all billed out at different rates, and so that would depend on the need, for the project, whether it be a design engineer or a CAD designer or a survey, or, and typically, especially for small towns, we would use junior engineers to do a lot of the heavy lifting that bill out lower rates, and then, a senior engineer would oversee the work, and so that would minimize the cost for the utility. And so we could provide a rate sheet with our proposals that would indicate what the billing rates are, and our estimate of hours for each type project or scope of work that's needed.
That's what I was expecting, something like that, that's why I was asking them.
Yeah, and of course, this would be for the first projects, would be the ARC grant pre-app that we discussed the other day. But there's been several we have missed, and as Beth said, and by the spring, there's gonna be CDBG. There are gonna be other ones that are gonna be available, and probably pandemic money that we can actually start negotiating once we get a firm in place.
So we're hiring now for the pre-application process for the ARC grant, and then we'll discuss terms for further engagement.
As we apply for grants, and as we have needs, because John has right now, he said the tanks are supposed to be inspected, so there might be an issue with that. And of course, as we discussed, there's also a couple of sewer issues that we need to start addressing immediately. Projects, whether it be, and then we know we've got zoning issues that are gonna be addressed, you know, that.
About any kind of project you do, you got to have some kind of engineer.
Sure, I'm just interested, I'm
Water
interested
lines, whatever.
in the terms of engagement, but it sounds like we'll get to that after this ARC grant is done.
So,
Okay, I'm make the motion to hire SMA engineering.
And I'll second it.
all in favor? Oh, we'll get the out, Friday then. All right, and you know to work with Beth, because Beth said she would be working with Beth. Okay,
Just get that application done.
yeah. We want 100% turnaround on that. Not asking for much, are we?
Be careful what you ask for.
Then we, planning commission will be meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And so what we're gonna do, we got codes enforcement here tonight, which, you're gonna be under that, but your codes enforcement instead. Would you please come up, Mr. Gary, and do your report?
Don't really have a report. I do have some business permits that probably need to be addressed. And before we do that, I want to, commend y'all on your endeavor. I don't know whether congratulations or condolences. Anyway, it's good to have people that's willing to stand up and do hopefully the right thing. I can thank y'all for that. I have a few business permits, and I'm not sure these people have been yet to meet with you guys. I'll start out with Monteagle Nutrition in the country market down there. I have examined that, and I approve their business permit. Fitness, Studio Fitness, the trade hands, that's still in Country Mark. I have reviewed that and inspected that, and I approve their business permit.
Are they here tonight? Oh, okay, all right, okay. This is, you'll go through them and then we'll call people up, okay?
Okay, I have one for Cakes and Oliver's LLC, and to give y'all a rundown on that, that's the one there's a little issue about because there's two businesses that wanna go in there with no separated firewall between the two. And what I did on that, the planning commission voted to go ahead and allow that to let them do that. But what I did on their business permit, I put a deadline on that, December 31. And I told them, you know, if they weren't separated, just one business in there at that particular point in time, that they'd have to somebody has to move out. So I'm holding that one until we get further down the road. I've got one here for Anderson Retail, and I presume that's gonna be some kind of a car cleanup deal. And I'm not really sure they need a business permit. Typically, business permits are for businesses that are stand-up businesses that people, public come in and out of, and we wanna make sure that they've got emergency lights and those things, and I'm not really sure about that. I did try to call that number, but I didn't get a response. I have one here from Monteagle Inn. It's a new owner, Richard Black. I am working with Mr. Black now. They're gonna do some renovations about some things, and I'm working with him on getting some life safety issues addressed. So I think that's gonna work out really well for that. Outside of that, that's all that I have. If somebody has questions.
There's only one that has not appeared before the council before, correct? Because I know Monteagle Nutrition was here before. And so,
Katie and Tim are probably here, let me tell you.
that's so, if they just wanna come and say what they're doing with that, and then we can go forward, because the other ones appeared before. Well, the detail guy's not in the city limits, is he? So we'll just have to wait. Okay.
So Studio Fitness is really, owned by Main Street Country Mart, and it's just gonna be studio space for like yoga, Pilates, any kind of studio fitness type, exercise. And we will, right now what we're doing, we've got 2 large studio spaces. We also have a smaller space that could be for massage therapy or facials or something like that. And then there's a shared space for reception and waiting area, sitting area. And then there's 2 bathrooms and some changing rooms. And, but we are gonna lease out to the individual exercise instructors, so they can rent it on an hourly basis, so we can fill up and then post a full exercise schedule, so people can look in one place and find a full schedule and know what kind of classes, and hopefully we'll get a good wide variety of classes, styles, and that kind of thing, and it'll be an easy place to go and see everything and find the classes that you would be looking for.
Yep, did y'all pass that down? Yeah. Okay, so Earl says it's in compliance, Monteagle Nutrition's in compliance, if they're both in compliance, you're helping the other 2, correct?
Yep.
I mean, so do y'all wanna do them individually, or you wanna do them separately? Somebody make a motion.
We just need to approve that one. And the nutrition?
The nutrition has to be approved too, doesn't it?
I'm not sure whether he's been before the city council or not.
He was here prior.
Yeah.
I know he was here at one meeting, so I think we can go ahead and, well, I think it was pending something, but I mean, Earl says now it's ready, so if y'all wanna approve separately, well, probably separately, here you go. Just end up doing it. And
I make a motion to approve, the permits of Studio Fitness and the Monteagle Nutrition.
second, Doreen, all in favor? Aye. There you go. All right, did you have anything else? I know there's some other things I'm gonna be asking you later, so we'll move down the list for that. Okay, now the next new business is going to be election of the vice mayor. The vice mayor is actually elected, not appointed. So, do I hear, motion for a vice mayor?
I'd like to nominate Doreen Parmalee to be our vice mayor.
Okay. Do we have a second? Does anyone else? Second. We have a second, so we'll vote. All in favor of Doreen being the vice mayor? Aye? Aye. Congratulations, Doreen. It's precious on the card, y'all. So it's precious. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is the hiring of a city attorney. We had the opportunity, Jessica, of course, you were busy that day, and Sam Elliott from Chattanooga came up. Sam has been in his business for a long time, he said. He's very seasoned, and so is his firm. The rate was, of course, we did discuss that, across the board's $250, and of course, for these Zoom meetings, he does not charge for those. He does it for travel, but he's comparable with all the attorneys we had with his background. They're located in Macaulay Avenue, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I spoke with him a couple of things tonight because he is very aware, and I'm just gonna go ahead and address it now. One of the reasons that we were interviewing attorneys is because everybody knows we have zoning issues. It just is what it is. We're gonna fix them and then we're gonna move forward. But he's aware of that. He's dealt with these. He's, like I said, he's seasoned in the bill. So you all had the opportunity to meet him, you know, just in a conversation, nothing breaking any sunshine laws because nobody was sworn in, but just to see him, you know, a lot of stuff. Do we have any?
He was a very, very intelligent speaking man.
And so he's willing to work with us for at least 6 months to help us, not only with the issues at hand we've got to deal with, but also with the zoning issues. Like I said, he gave us credentials of where he had worked with these issues before. I think he said, was it 27 years or 24 years with zoning that he's worked with, but he's a very seasoned attorney. So do we have a motion to? Sam Elliott, remember, he said, I'm not that
That's
Sam
right.
Elliott. Remember?
I will make the motion to hire Sam Elliott
As
as
a
the
county
attorney.
do we have a second? All right, all in favor? Okay. Now, a proposal for a sound system, so we won't be holding this in a laptop. Would you like to come up, Janet? And I know we're doing a lot tonight, I apologize, and we came in with a bang with snow, but we've got to, you know, take care of business and keep moving forward, so we're trying to, folks.
Hi,
Hi.
Craig couldn't be here, he asked me to do it.
Okay.
Craig Carton came up with a plan for us to have a sound system that would work. Each one of you would have a microphone. There will be 8 wireless microphones that will be, you can put a button on to turn it on or off. The system is 12-inch microphone, or, I'm sorry. That's terrible. 12-inch speakers, and then the microphone, there'll be a microphone here, and there'll be a microphone over there for whoever needs one, and we'll have an extra one in case we need one. And then we're gonna get a video system. It's a projector, so that we can have a spot on the wall in case we have any overheads that we need. So the total, and then Craig's got some fees. He would be charging $50 per night if he were needed here, and he has an integration fee, an installation fee, and when he sets it up, so that's $400. So the total cost of the new system with the projector would be $1,745.42.
You can check on a laptop today, and the laptop will be $1,000, to utilize it, because she'll go ahead and order that, and all this is inventory that goes in, you know, so.
Okay.
So it'll be, what, 27, 45, 42, but
Right.
that'll set us up with the projector that you had requested, Nate, so things will be on the board for folks, and of course, when we're doing, recordings live. And then it'll also be accessible.
What budget line does this come out of?
Probably the mayor's. I don't know what budget we have, it's on his sheet, but if it needs to, it'll come out of the mayor's. I don't even know what we've got budgeted, but, you know, this is something we all said during this election, we were gonna be transparent here, and people were gonna be able to hear. So we're trying to utilize those things in the beginning as well as keeping.
And one of the things this projector is gonna be for is, one of my big complaints was the workshop, when everybody got back into the meeting and they approved an ordinance, we were sitting out there, we had no idea what that ordinance was. So, am I wrong in saying, or am I right in
Yeah,
saying?
it'll be projected
That
on
it'll
the
be
wall.
up here so that everybody out there will know what that ordinance is.
How many
We won't be in
microphones?
the dark.
Yeah, and of course, and we will read those, you know, and we'll follow the process, but they'll also have accessibility, and you can screenshot it, you know, with your phones if you want to, or, you know, you can read it as we're going through it, so.
But it'll come out of an operational
Yes.
account rather than a capital account. We have money to do that.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's 5,000. The reason we're doing this is because we want everyone to know that we're purchasing these things, and we said we would be doing it and set up. Now, I will say this, and you can, add whatever you want to. Gray is a communication major. He does this for local churches. He does this in Murfreesboro. So this is actually, he has his degree in communication and broadcasting, doesn't he? And he
He's
has
working on that degree.
but so he has been doing this, so he's not just, he knows what he's doing and setting up the sound systems. I think he did it for the Methodist church, maybe.
This is our church system and it's for out a bigger space than here, so that's why we're having a little problem tonight, but he did set it up, and he's done several, he does it for, bands, big bands, in Nashville, he's done it at hotels in, Vegas. He knows how to do sound systems and set up the, videos.
So if we want to, have it ready by the next meeting, he'll be getting it up, we go ahead and approve it tonight and get everything set up. And then he'll be working with us a couple of months to make sure that if we have anything that we need to, problems and it's $50 for him to come and work with us,
Will the vice mayor sing?
Hey, some of the council might. It may be the singing council. If you get ready, Nate, you're gonna lead.
All of us together.
Yeah.
It won't be free. Not gonna lie to you.
So,
okay, I would like to move that we follow this proposal and have, the products that we need ordered and have Craig Martin oversee the installation and all the site.
and the total is $27.45.
Correct.
So, do we have a second? That's Jessica Tell.
I second.
Doreen seconded. Since it's a minimum amount, do we need a roll call? Or do you want? No, we can just do that by eye, since it's, So, everyone in favor?
I'll get started with Gray to get it ordered.
Thank you, Donna. We appreciate it. Okay, next, we did have a request to be on the agenda. That was, Rusty Leonard. You have, of course, the time frame to come up and speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'm here on behalf of RBT LLC this evening to hopefully shed some light on an issue that came up under the past administration. And with the continuing passage of time, will become more and more serious for RBT and as a direct consequence for this town. RBT bought the property necessary for the construction of the Petro Travel Center, and I think everybody knows where that is. And when they did so in early 2020. RBT bought the subject property for $840,000 based upon, in good faith, the town of Monteagle's new zoning ordinance and its 2019 zoning map, both of which indicated that the property that they needed to give them the space for this Petro Travel Center was C3, commercial, not residential. RBT bought the one tract, tax map 022K, Group C, parcel 14.01, that had been rezoned by the town from residential to C3, commercial. In further reliance upon the actions of the town, RBT expended another $150,000 to purchase the Petro franchise, which was absolutely necessary in order for them to go into business, to even begin construction. In expending this total of $990,000, RBT, in relying in good faith upon the C3 zoning that this city had accomplished, they changed their financial position markedly, obviously, $990,000 worth. In September of this year, the Planning Commission denied RBT's site plan, not as a result of their failure to meet all of the applicable requirements, but rather because the Planning Commission, on its own, made the determination that the 2018 and 2019 zoning maps were invalid, based upon defects in the public notice required by the ordinance and/or the statutory law. Planning Commission was not so empowered. They don't have the authority of the legislative body. This board does. If the maps are incorrect, it is up to this board to make that determination, and then to make the determination as to what they intend to do about it. Go forward or go backwards. This issue needs to be examined carefully, but also quickly and concisely, to best handle any issues that might otherwise arise as a result. If you go back, you're going to be opening Pandora's box to a lot of other zoning issues that took place as a result of or during the period of this improper notice. If you go forward and basically indicate that we recognize there was a mistake, but it was the city's mistake, and we're not going to make those mistakes in the future, approve the site plan of RBT, let them move forward by giving them a building permit, we avoid an awful lot of problems that we will have to tread through going backwards. The improper denial of RBT has resulted in monthly losses to date that approximate $150,000 a month. That's over a 3-month period of time. That doesn't just include the interest, it also is a projection of projected losses, as well as out-of-pocket expenditures that had to be made that cannot be made up any other way. The longer the delay, the higher the cost in RBT's losses. RBT will be looking to this town to satisfy those losses because it has nobody else to look to. We're not pointing individual fingers at anyone. But it happened. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. And the reliance that these people at RBT placed upon the zoning ordinance creates a real issue. This board has the authority to decide whether to look back or look forward, attempt to clean up the mess at the expenditure of considerably more time, or to approve RBT's site plan, issue their building permit, and move forward knowing what not to do and what to avoid in the future. My time up?
Yeah, your time up, because we have to follow. There's one thing before you leave council. You've heard his presentation. Nate, do you have any questions for Rusty and Doran? Jessica?
I will advise that there is, of course, as you know, a chancery lawsuit currently pending in the Chancery Court for Marion County. There has been a brief filed on both sides, and this has been set to be heard January the 15th. But January the 15th is 2 months away.
Well, and this is something I'm going to go ahead and everybody's going to get the opportunity to speak tonight, because there's going to be several issues we're going to deal with tonight to clear up some and to move forward as quickly as we can. That's one of the reasons for hiring Sam Elliott, and the council will be aware of everything that we're doing from this point on. We do have the situation that's got to be cleaned up, and council at any time you're welcome to speak, in this part. We know we've got to clean up the situation. None of us know the outcome. But pending, and I'm going to paraphrase this, please make this part of the minutes. We did meet with a TML attorney this past week, and he said pending the hearing on January the 15th, 2020 by the Chancery Court, that she would determine the outcome of how the city should proceed. Is that, we also recorded this, so we've got a copy with that. Based upon that, of course, we have Mr. Elliott here, and he said based upon that, we would follow that course since there's a lawsuit been filed. They said, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, but they said on January the 15th, since it's already scheduled,
That's correct.
That they would be meeting and they would tell us the determination to which the course that the town should follow at that point in time, since it's in the court system.
The determination probably will not be reached on January the 15th. If I know the chancellor as well as I think I do, she will take some time to weigh the situation and write a reasoned opinion. So it could be another 30 days, even up to 60 days.
Well,
That's just the reality of the nature of the beast.
and council, of course, based upon the information we received from, of course, you have acknowledged the case. We're not trying to stall anything, we're just trying to make this right, because we will be addressing some other things here that we're gonna make right tonight. And then we're going to have to rescind, not this situation, because we're going to have to make the entire thing right, because there's more than this error. We found out there's multiple errors, correct?
But in this instance, we have been advised to let the chancellor look at the information and make a determination, and we will act based on that determination.
And that's based upon the following of, with the courts. And we did not know this till last week, but that's what we've been told here.
And I understand Sam is a good lawyer. I look forward to working with him if we need to. In the interim, my point was only to bring to the board's attention that the board has the power to make the determination itself under the law.
Well, now, according to Sam, that's not what I heard.
We can make a determination. Now, whether that is the good and correct determination is subject to the interpretation of the law. So we feel like it's in our best interest to allow the judge to interpret the law for us and allow us to proceed.
Fair enough.
And we didn't file the suit, you know what I'm saying? And that's the reason we're gonna be fair with RBT, we're gonna be fair with the residents, we're gonna be fair with the town of Monteagle. Yeah, we didn't create this problem regardless of what was told or said, but we're going to fix it right. We're gonna fix it right for RBT, we're gonna fix it right as right as we can for the residents. And then after this debacle won't happen again. I mean, I'm sorry is all I can say. It happened, but we also, and as you know, you used to sit on the council with me, we have to do what's best for Monteagle, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna protect everybody. I'm just gonna bring it to your attention. I am gonna stand up here. If you look down here, this is called Monteagle 2020. It was a plan that was put into place by the residents of Monteagle from 2014 to 2016, as well as a lot of other things. This is what the town should have looked like, and we even had easements from part of the property owners that we're now dealing with RBT that would have had sidewalks and lighting, and we had $300,000 to do it. That didn't happen. We can't go backwards. All we can do at this point in time is fix this the best we can, and then make sure, if this council, make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. And we found out we've got a lot of, and I'm not blaming anyone, but we've got a lot to fix.
I had a feeling there was going to be considerable to deal with.
And I'm just saying, it is what it is, correct? And if anyone wants to interject, they're welcome to at this point in time, council. Yeah.
The only problem we have is the clock is ticking.
No, and we're aware of that. I mean, we're not trying not to acknowledge that.
I know.
But I'd rather it be ticking right now than to explode at another point. You know what I'm saying? And we're just gonna be as fair and fix it as quick as we can, you know. And again, understand it was ticking for a long time before us, but it just started. We're doing this as quickly as we can.
I understand.
Yeah, this is something we don't wanna drag out.
No.
We wanna get it going.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be right or wrong, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get it going.
I appreciate this, Ms. Vice Mayor.
So, we will have citizens heard, because nobody else called about this. I am going to address, and I'm not going to address who it was from, but there has been a request made for, some information. I do want to address part of that with TML. If the individual wants to speak, they can tonight. But one of the things they've asked for was the planning commission. It was an ordinance created by the planning commission in 1984. That no longer exists. If you have your codes book, in 2016, the former council went through a purge. We went through the state of Tennessee. It took us 4 years to condense. Well, we didn't do it, MTAS did it. But the state of Tennessee did it. We had to go through TCA codes. All of that information was condensed into one book. correct me if I'm wrong, you know more terminology than I do, codes enforcement officer. Once that was done, it also had to go through the state, those records were condensed. So there's not a 1984 ordinance that exists anywhere. If you want the codes book, which you can go back to 2016, will be a reference that we'll be having to utilize. I think it's 2016, isn't it? That we'll be looking at right now. There's a dilemma with the whole codes book of 2018 that we've got to fix, but we're not gonna fix it tonight. It'll be at the next meeting. I'll just be honest with you. There's a lot going on here. So that does not exist. You will be getting the information. The city recorder is working on getting all the documents as timely as she can and has been requested. There was information, and Mr. Kilgore, if you don't mind, I'm gonna bring up something that's been brought up multiple times here so I can clarify it if that's okay with you, Rodney. So, I'm gonna pass this out to the council. We did some research on a fine. There's been mention of a fine of probably, I'm just gonna throw out a number, $30,000 to $40,000 that Mr. Kilgore owed for his, non-compliance. I had to do some research. We went back. There was nothing pending that had not been paid prior to, this fine, and it was in, let me find the date of it, 2018. That it came up. Mr. Leonard, you're here, you represented him for this, so you can correct me at any point in time, but I do have actually the fine here from Mark Raines.
You're correct.
This was sent, it says 2/22/2018 to the city attorney. At that point in time, the city attorney was Harvey Cameron. Let me find the document. I have two letters here. Or emails. One is from the city attorney at that point in time. The city attorney has advised me, as the mayor, that he was called by the city recorder to stop that immediately, that it would be dismissed. I came to the city recorder because it was not her place to do it unless she had been advised. I have a letter here from the city recorder. It was from the mayor or the vice mayor advised her to call the city attorney and to stop that. Now, I have called the Bibles, I've asked them for those files, but that was stopped. Not by Mr. Kilgore, but by the mayor and the vice mayor. We have documentation tonight that will be made part of the records of who did that. So, I'm just clarifying because everybody's like, this fine's owed. Well, there's not a tremendous amount of fine owed. You can't charge something to somebody when actually the governing body told you to stop. And that's what happened with that fine. Mr. Kilgore, is that, I know that you knew about the fine, but it was stopped. Were you aware that they stopped it? I don't know if they contacted you or not, but I know this is the documentation I was providing that happened. That's the reason it's not.
Mayor, for the edification of those in here, part of the reason that the call was made and the fines were stopped is that Mr. Kilgore was by then in compliance. And that's why it happened.
Well, that's what but there was discussion, and again, I'm not saying who and when, but I was at 2 meetings prior to being elected, and Jessica, you were here, and what I had heard, and I think many of y'all heard, was the attorneys are dealing with it, but nobody ever clarified, so we've got clarification on what happened with that incident, and it will be part of the minutes, it will be part of the addendum here, and that came from Harvey Cameron, from the city recorder, so there's not this horrendous fine that's due. Okay, we have another letter here, or Mr. Gary, would you like to read your statement that I asked you for tonight? Mr. Gary is our code enforcement officer. He is certified. He is permitted. If we go to court, we use Mr. Gary. So we want to clarify this too.
The mayor asked me, and some other people out here have also asked me, and I'm on the front end, I'm an old guy, I'm a little cantankerous, and I'd like to apologize because I know at least 3 or 4 people that I had conversations with that I was somewhat rude. So if you will please accept my apology for that position that I took at that time. I had been asked about the truck stop and the work that's going on out there. And I have reviewed the ordinance in chapter 12, section 1203 of the zoning ordinance dealing with the work being performed at the proposed truck stop property. It is my interpretation of that section that the work being performed is not a violation. Now, I will say that the work is razor thin, maybe in a gray area. But, that's my interpretation, and, you know, if the city council wants to review that with me and they wanna overrule my interpretation, well, that's something that they have the right to do. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I do know that, let me just say that if I stop to work on that project out there, and of course it would go to court, and we will be on thin ice with the court for that. So, what else, you know, and I'm not gonna stand up here and defend, I know everybody out in there, everybody out there is a construction specialist, and they know what excavation is, and they know what cutting and filling is, probably a lot better than I do. But I'm not gonna stand up here and argue with you guys about what I heard. So, is that okay?
You're smarter than I am.
Based upon his certification, his license, and I've worked with Earl for many years, and of course, nobody's perfect, but if we go to court, we use this man. And I'm not picking, I'm just saying, and that's the reason I said, will you please provide us with this information tonight, so we know what we're doing. So that's the reason I was here tonight, to present that.
Does our ordinance have like a time where they can start work and a time they need to be stopped for noise issues?
I had a call about the noise, and I did talk with Rodney, and he agreed with me that he would not start the equipment before 8 o'clock in the morning, and they would quit in 5 days. It wouldn't be working weekends. He did tell me they would do that, and I thought, and that's one thing I've been trying to do through this whole situation is keep a line of communication open between myself and Rodney and the people that, you know, in that corner. And I think that's proper thing to do. And he agreed to do that, and I'm sure there'll be people out there, no, he's not doing that, but that's what he told me to do, and I go along with what he told me, I believe.
Rodney, are you doing that?
Yes, ma'am. So Jessica, to answer your question, there is an ordinance, but I've learned that it's not part of the zoning code. So it's a police enforcement that defines the hours of operation for a construction company, where outside of that operating time, it's considered a nuisance noise violation.
Okay.
But it sounds like Mr. Gary has taken care of it and working with Mr. Kilgore, and it's not an issue. Those hours are pretty liberal except on the weekends, and it's in the nuisance noise ordinance.
And I think it's what, is it 5 or 6 o'clock? Because we've had to address that in the past. Do you have the ordinance?
I don't have it in front of me, but
it's in, and we will have that at the next one. I think it's like, it's really, the reason we addressed it, if you remember, it was about a garbage truck pulling behind the school somebody's house one time. But I cannot remember, because they were like at 3 o'clock in the morning and they changed that then. But I can't tell you the time frame, and I know which ones were involved, but that's the reason it, and where did Jack go, Jack? So, we'll find out what the time frames are, but anyhow, that has nothing to do with, you know, this has been helpful, so.
Rodney and I have a gentleman's agreement, and I'd like to work a gentleman's agreement when we can.
So does anyone else have any questions?
Could you explain why it's razor thin in terms of the,
Okay, the ordinance calls for cutting, filling, and grading. And in construction, and everybody's gonna argue with me about this, but in construction, it's my opinion from the ordinance that as long as they're just pushing some dirt around, getting some stumps out, and they may bring a little dirt in, until they get an engineer there for the transit, and they're shooting grades and actually setting grades and all that for the construction project, it's in my opinion, it's not in that ordinance. And when they start pulling out of transit, start shooting grades, and Rodney and I, we talked about that. Then they're gonna be in a violation. But it's from what they're doing right now, and a lot of the ordinance, really the ordinance just speaks to construction of a building. And right now, they're just working on the land. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question, I don't know.
Does anyone else have any questions concerning this matter? Do you have any questions concerning the fund that we've addressed?
So we've now got documentation that the fines were stopped being collected. We've heard from the attorney that was because they were in compliance. So it sounds like the next step for us are to verify compliance.
Well, and we also heard that they were stopped, whether they were in compliance or not. That's what Mr. Leonard said, but Mr. Cameron has another document said that he was advised to stop. And we will have his documentation from the Bibles, but the Bibles we called.
We should get it Wednesday.
Yeah, we should have it Wednesday, so we'll have it by the next meeting of that. So when they were actually called and said to stop.
So it sounds like we have two outstanding questions. The first one, is the truck stop in compliance? And it may very well be, I don't know.
Well, let me answer that one too, because Mark Raines is the city judge that actually executed this order. I spoke with Mr. Raines, and I also attached the code that he used down here, because I asked him, I said, I have a question about the code. The only part of this code that he said that was being issued shall be maintained in sanitary conditions, because apparently, and this is according to Mr. Raines, and he's going to give us document 2, referring to this. He just didn't have time to get it here tonight. We'll have it at the next meeting, and it will be part of the minutes. Was because apparently there was a vehicle there that had the stench to it, and that's been removed. I mean, that is in compliance. So that's what Mr. Raines told me tonight. That it was that part of the code. It's 17-6, and it's section 13-301, part 2. That's the part. Mr. Raines will give us, or Judge Raines will give us that.
So it sounds like there may be outstanding fines from the point of violation to the point that it was corrected and the fines were stopped. Is that something we're still looking into?
That's something we'll find out, and of course, from what, and I think Mr. Leonard and I have talked about this, did we not? Mr. Leonard, we found this out that it was stopped by the town.
Yes.
Prior, that it could be like a 30 to 60 day fine, but we don't know the dates until we get the files from the Bibles, which they have not got. We called and asked for them, and they said that we'd have them Wednesday. So we'll have that by the next meeting. So we can determine from point A to point B and what the fines will be, but they're not a 30 or, at one time I know it was $30,000 was discussed, but there is no $30,000 fine extent. It's not there. So. Any other questions? And all this will be paid for in the minutes, and it will be included in when it's put online too. So. Anyone have anything else for Mr. Gary? Okay, let's do Alderman, and then we'll do citizens' comments, then we're going to do calendar of events. So, Nate, we'll start with you.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who supported me in this election. I'm excited to be up here. I hope that I will work to have earned your vote, and if you didn't vote for me last time, I hope I can earn your vote the next time around. So thank you. I'm still getting up to speed on what all the issues are, but I think we're starting to plow through them.
It'll be fun. Entertaining.
And we're gonna be on TV.
So get ready. On TV, so everybody smile.
We're your best. That's good.
Thank y'all for being here tonight. I know the weather's really bad, but I'm glad y'all were able to be here, and hopefully y'all get home safe.
On a note of encouragement, I think everybody needs to know that there's gonna be a lot of money available because of the pandemic from the government, and we're gonna try to plow into as much of that money as we can get to start doing some things that need to be done. The roads and some of the old buildings and machinery that are around.
There's 3 things I'm gonna bring up to you all tonight, but we cannot act upon them. I don't think we can, because TML, Tennessee Municipal League, which is our insurance company, has been called. The 3, okay? Okay, one is COVID. Of course, we know we're going to do as much CDC safety as we can. If you notice tonight, you were temped. If you've got a fever, we're gonna tell you to leave. You know, we're trying to make it accessible. Same thing with parades. We're gonna take as many safety measures as we can. The Constitution says I cannot make you wear a mask. I have a gaiter. If you want me to put it on, I'll put it on when I'm around you. But you know, we're gonna do as much possible to protect our people and to protect our employees. And anything we do, that'll be implemented. However, when it comes to employees, since laws have changed and rules have changed and pandemic timeframes have changed, we're getting that information from TML to know how to handle the employee situation, when somebody tests positive and when we have a situation that somebody has to be off from work. We did not get that today, but as soon as Deb gets it, she'll get it to us. The other thing, which Jessica, I know this is something that's really, Jessica, F, to your heart, and that we will deal with later, is we're off of recycling, but I did confirm this, we do have a, and I may have the term wrong, so I apologize, a cardboard compactor out at the recycling center. However, there is no contract on that. Now, I know that's a no-no with TML, because there should be a contract with any equipment, in particular with a compactor, you have to be, I'll ask my husband on this, I'll defer to him, or during 18 years old to actually utilize that. And then the current condition, we're gonna have to deal with that with TML, how we address it, because I'm letting you know as a council tonight, that is a liability on this town. Now, we can choose to rub it off until we get an answer of how to deal with it and set up a contract, or we can continue using it. So I'm gonna give it to you as a council, how do you wanna handle it? But it's just, we're 100%.
How can we get it contracted so it can be used?
Well, if it can be used, TML has to tell us, and then we'd have to go into the agreement with that private party to do it, and they'd have to agree to the terms that the attorney would have for that, so.
So how do you, anybody that's 18 years old, how do you patrol that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, TML, what the, do you wanna speak up here?
They would just come and TML would go out and inspect it. And
But I
they
mean,
would
if you've
tell
got
us-
somebody taking garbage out, how would you know they're 18 years old to use that compactor?
Well, they're not supposed to be using it, it's not roped off, there might be provisions with roping it off, I don't know those answers, I'm telling you, we have notified TML, but we do not have an answer tonight. So we have two choices here. One, y'all can continue leave it open how it is, cause I'm for recycling, but I'm for safety first. Risk management's a key factor, but the second one is, since there is no contract, we assume all the liabilities the way it currently is, period, across the board. So,
Well, my first thought is that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
well, so y'all can decide if you want to.
As a citizen, we throw our boxes in like everybody's been doing. Do we have an employee that actually uses the machine?
No.
Or the gentleman that does the compacting does
See,
it
there's no
himself?
contract
So,
there,
okay,
but that doesn't stop
I didn't know
somebody.
if a city employee was actually
Well,
maintaining
He'd
it,
be on
working it.
city property, so if something happened to him, you'd be liable for him.
Yeah, the way it
Okay.
currently is, we're liable for that private industry if it's an employee. This is the law, y'all, I didn't write it, and I'm not going to refer to somebody else's attorney, but he's shaking his head, yes, I'm not an attorney, but you know, why would we create a liability with something that's y'all's call, y'all can make a motion if we want to.
You do not want that hanging around your neck.
Have we talked
You
about?
do not.
No, I haven't, because, I mean, the thing that we'd have to do is just say we're gonna rope it off immediately, there's no contract. There was no contract, period. I think it was a verbal agreement, wasn't it? I mean, you were here, do you know how it happened?
We voted on ordering it.
Did we pay for it?
No,
No, that's what I'm saying, what did we pay for, do you know? We didn't pay for the slab, or something?
Did
Okay,
we pay for the slab?
and the three phases?
Did we?
No, that was pieces of concrete that we did go
They
get.
got in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it was big
So I don't
slab.
I thought it was all converted, but,
But the thing
I
is,
mean, it's a great asset to the town, so I hate for it to be,
well, I mean,
stopped.
it'd only be a temporary thing, because we've gotta have a contract, but I'm just saying, do we want to? I'm gonna
I'm
leave
gonna
it for
hurry
the
to get a
council.
contract.
Yeah,
Cause I know she likes it too.
But we gotta
so
call
we all
TML to
recycle.
find out how we can protect the town.
So I'd say there are two ways we can deal with it. One, if he's a contractor, then he may have his own insurance, and he can hold us as additionally insured. We could also lease him the location, and again, he'd have to have his own insurance. But I guess I would wanna reach out to him, because if he's only running it once a week, we can go put a padlock on the power source and simply unlock it when he is operating it with some simple contractor agreement. And that way we don't interrupt the service, but we also cover the town. But,
Well, I mean, basically, we could do that and contact him and let him know until we're gonna contact TML to get it done. My perspective is this, is yes, we wanna recycle, but my job here is to reduce risk management and not have any more lawsuits. And most and foremost, not have somebody pick it. You know,
Think
that's
about
number
power
one.
locking, he goes out there sometime on the sun, you don't have any employee working on the
So we'd have to come on
Well,
Saturday.
so that would be the
Sunday.
thing about
No.
talking to him, so if it's something that's got to happen every day, then that's gonna be a pain in the neck that our employees don't need to take on. If it's something that happens once a week, he ought to be able to adjust to work with us and our time schedule, and we'll get a contract or get documentation of his insurance. If he's got insurance equal to our insurance that covers his liability, then I'm gonna feel a lot more comfortable about it, but in the meantime, I would say we just lock it out, but we get in touch with him immediately, cause I don't want him to. I feel a little responsible, cause I suggested that he do this, because he came to me,
You should have got a contract with, tell them to
Well,
get a contract with TML.
I wasn't up here, I said it to city council.
But you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now, and we're not trying, and even if we could lock it out till Saturdays and let him come on Saturdays and do it, and you'll have to work with their schedule, we're not trying to stop it. But we got, TML's gotta advise us, because they're the one who covers us. There'll be a lot of training and things we have to do, in particular now, and we have to go through we're going to go through the insurance company, because we don't have these outstanding lawsuits. And it might not ever happen, but that one time's all it takes.
Who pays the electricity for it? The city does? Does he pay the city for the cardboard?
Well, there's several issues out there that I think needs to be addressed in that, timely things, taking it up, once, cause when we started the metal recycling, we started that as a former council. They bring the container, am I not correct? They pay us for all the metal, they come and pick it up, they take it out, and we actually get paid for it. But apparently right now, it's costing us, but we're providing a service.
So we're providing the electricity and the possibility of the liability.
Yes,
The city.
right now. So, but we can fix this, yes.
Is there an ongoing effort or a timeline to get a contract?
As soon as we talk to TML, we'll be notifying, the council suits. It could be litigations and then pursue the contract if we can. I mean, TML may say it's too high risk that they won't cover it. I don't know. I can't speak for TML. Deb's been trying to get in touch with them, but with the holidays, and she called them how many times today, and I called once this afternoon, and they just said, leave a message, and we'll get back with you. So as soon as possible, but we didn't really know this until last week when I asked her for the contract, and she said there is no contract. So. And I'm gonna bring something else up, I'm gonna ask y'all what y'all think about it. I'm all for working with community, y'all see that, because we continue to go on. But we are not allowed, to dump anything in Franklin County. I guess you're aware of that, but Franklin County does dump at Monteagle. So, I don't know, but I just don't think that's too fair, folks. I mean, honestly, I think that, if you're a Monteagle resident in that Franklin County area, yes, you should be able to dump, but if we can't dump anything in Franklin County, I don't think Franklin County residents should dump in Monteagle, because we're just taking access. I mean,
That's why stay school so much.
we're here to defend Monteagle, that's what we were elected for, to take care of, so that's my 2 cents on that, but y'all can decide what you wanna do on these 2 issues. So, since you're talking.
Well, one of the other issues was that the contractors weren't having to get dumpsters, if they were dumping the contractors, garbage there. Is that something happening?
Well, they're supposed to get dumpsters, right? But, and they're supposed.
Well, and most contractors do, I mean, but yeah, they stuff gets.
They still, yeah, most convenience centers are for household garbage only. You can't
Well,
take, debris from construction site typically and put in a convenience center.
Is that being monitored? I mean, I'm asking the question.
No, I mean,
Well-
people remodeling stuff, I mean, that's where it goes.
Well, we've got how many employees that we can issue a letter and we can take it out there to them saying that there's no remodeling and then we'll have 3? 2. So, I mean, this is a new council, it's a new day, do y'all want to send a letter to the employees and tell them to cease and desist immediately? I mean,
Well, I got a question on you, Franklin County.
Yeah.
The guy that picks up all the garbage. He goes into Franklin County, he brings it up here.
well, I think
So
we're
how you
gonna,
gonna stop that?
we need to, talk to him too and say, if we're not, I mean, they've got to decide. I mean, is it gonna be an open door policy, or are we gonna just, how are we gonna deal with that? Because I did not know till recently that Franklin County will not allow Monteagle residents to dump. Is that correct, Nate?
So,
Do you think we could reach out to Franklin County and see if we could make terms with them that we could use those any place?
We could reach out, but I don't think they'll do it. I mean,
What was their
honestly.
reasoning?
Yeah, John?
Don't have a place.
Cutting costs.
They don't want that.
Cutting costs. But if they're cutting costs and they're increasing air costs, that makes no sense to the town of Monteagle.
So I would like to sort of table this particular part of the conversation, not the compactor, but this, and let's all sit down and look at it. My understanding is that we don't actually pay for any of the trash removal, that Marion County pays for the compactor and Grundy pays for the
We pay for the
dumpsters.
employees.
We pay for the employees.
And we also, no, we pay the utilities out there. We pay the utilities out there, so we do have, it's split like 2 ways. Grundy County, Marion County, and well, 3 ways, the money. So,
But I think it's more of a quality of life issue for residents, and I certainly am somebody who's gone there a lot, and it's been full. So I think there's probably an issue with contractors, including contractors that pick up trash and bring it in and dump it at our facility, that probably need to go to the landfill, which is what I do when I have a dump truck full of trash. But I wonder if this is something we should talk about, and come up with a comprehensive plan rather than try to deal with this tonight. I don't feel like I know all the information.
I'm not telling you to deal with it, I'm just saying it was brought to my attention. There's been so many things brought to my attention, this is just part of the laundry list. The rest of it you're getting December.
Ricky couldn't open this morning because everything was full.
Yeah.
I don't know what time he opened.
So, but it is something we need to
About
address.
9, I guess.
Everything's full, and he said he called, and they told me they're gonna go up to empty anything.
It's an issue, and I think we should deal with it, and I think if we come up with a comprehensive plan, we can address it sort of once and for all, and I think we take it on and come back with a proposal.
Okay, so what do we want to do about, we'll put this and we'll table this till the next meeting? Okay, and so what do we do about the compactor? How do y'all want to handle that? We are contacting TML immediately, which is the number 1 thing to do.
I say lock it up till we get some TML.
Well, let's make a motion. We'll contact, we don't care to contact Michael and let him know. We're not trying, I think his name's Michael.
Yes.
We're not trying to prohibit something, we're just trying to protect the town while we're doing this.
But I would like to, as part of that, reach out to him tomorrow, and I'm happy to do that,
Well,
and just say,
look
hey,
at,
this is
I'd
what's
rather
happening.
Deb do it
Okay.
because of TML. Let's follow the process. You can call him and tell him, and then we're gonna have to lock it down till we hear from TML, and then we're gonna have to sit down at the table with our attorney and come up with a contract if they allow us to do it, and hopefully expedite that as quick as possible.
Yeah, I would just rather him hear from us before he comes and sees it locked up, because.
Well, he's probably gonna hear, anyway, tonight we're discussing it, if he's watching FaceTime Live, and we're not trying, I mean, he's gonna be here. I mean, we're live, you know, I'm not trying to hide anything, that's the reason we're trying to be as transparent as we can. And we all have been aware of this, and again, we're not trying not to recycle, we're just trying to protect Monteagle, and as we do more right, to recycle in a positive way.
As Barney would say, we're gonna nip it in the bud.
Out there, Barney, you wanna make up? Yeah, I mean, how we handle it as quickly as possible, once the TML. But his bullet is gone.
So,
Well, that's just like when the metal was out there and they throwing it out on the ground and then people was hauling it off. And they were making money. Now we've got the dumpster out there and they come pick it up, now the city's making money. Right now it's not a lot, because that was not high, but when it was up there, we get a pretty good check every month.
Well, that was my suggestion to the town, when I sent Michael to him, because I knew he was hauling. What are we gonna tell the city employees to do with the cardboard in the meantime? What are they gonna tell the citizens tomorrow, starting tomorrow?
Well, here's what I think, if Michael wants to come out and empty it, is it empty now, or is it over?
I don't know how to go out there.
Governor will be back in a minute. The thing is, if
I'd
he
say
can come
it'd be
out and
hard
empty it
to empty it
tomorrow and, clean it out, then I say we lock the machine, right? Can we not lock the machine?
I was thinking about locking the power switch, it's gonna probably have a place for a padlock.
Can you lock the pipe?
I think it's inside, I think it's coming out of the box inside.
So we
So
can
so we're in control of the power.
So we can actually say after, if you can get it cleaned out tomorrow, get it cleaned out after that. I mean, I don't even know if we should do that.
I bet if you get cleaned out tomorrow, the box is gonna be frozen.
Well, then let's just, I guess we have to lock it down anyhow. We're gonna have to just lock it down until we get the TML. If we're gonna lock it down, we can't wait, And she'll contact Michael immediately in the morning, and as soon as we get this worked out, you know, we'll all meet and do it, because this is an issue of litigation. Because if somebody gets hurt, we're really gonna have an issue out there. And Steve Swanee had one, if y'all recall, and you remember what happened with the one at the university, or that Swanee had? Actually, someone, I think, died, and they removed theirs, if I'm not mistaken. That's how, I mean, it's too late after somebody, they had two.
It was at Templeton Library.
No, they have one also in the middle of, they have one in, going down the main street there too at one time, because somebody got killed.
Yeah, the recycling center.
Yeah, and so that's the reason they just totally removed it. I think it belonged to Swanee at that point in time.
I don't think it did.
So, how do y'all want to proceed with it there, Barney?
I wanna make a motion to put a padlock on it till we hear from TMA.
So do we have a second?
Can we add to that motion that we reach out to Michael immediately and work with him on a solution as soon as possible?
And she will do that. I mean, like I said, we're not trying not to work with recycling or Michael, we're just trying to protect the town in this process. So yes, can you add that caveat to that? Yes. Okay. So we have a motion by Lorraine, second by Jessica Blaylock, all in favor? Aye. And of course, the COVID issue, we don't know anything till TMO gets back on that. So those are the issues that are outstanding at this point in time. Do any of the citizens want to be heard? Yes, sir.
I got one comment. I think it goes back to what Nate said. I think we owe y'all a round of applause because y'all were sworn in. And win, lose, or draw, no matter if people didn't vote for you, y'all deserve an applause. So I want to say thank you for being elected.
Tony, you said you want to come up?
Yeah, actually,
We've got a
right here.
microphone here, if you
Yeah,
don't mind. We're
right here.
recording. We let everybody know tonight we're recording it.
The only comment that I've got, and listen to what you said, is you made a comment there that the vice mayor, the mayor of one, had contacted Harvey Cameron on forgiving Rodney Kilgore fines. That is not correct. I have not contacted Harvey Cameron or anyone else about forgiving any fines. Those fines are still in the Marion County Court. If you check your docket there, those fines aren't on file there.
Well, I got a letter from the city recorder that John asked her to call Harvey and tell him to stop it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's, well, Harvey said, that's the reason
I
we
don't
don't
care
have
what
Bibles.
Harvey said.
Well, I'm just saying, we are waiting on Bibles, because Bibles didn't give us their information, so we tried to trace it
Well,
down.
I spoke with Bible last Wednesday, and it is on the docket in Marion County. I myself have not contacted Harvey Cameron or anyone to forgive any fines. Those fines are still there.
She couldn't remember who had told her to call Harvey and tell it, so she said the mayor or vice mayor, and I have a document here, and Harvey said that he was called and told that. Now, the Bibles have not given us any information.
Well, number one, I don't think that anyone on the board, any individual can call an attorney and forgive the fines for a town without the
No, they
consent
said
of the board.
stop the process, is what we said.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Well, I'm
I
just
have a
telling you,
call.
that's the
what me
reason.
and her had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
If
We
we
have
vote
that
on
document.
something to be taken care of, we voted to have the issue taken care of with Rodney.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it just disappears.
Yeah, but
Wouldn't that
it
be
is
something
still,
that need to be
it
brought up?
is still.
It would have to be brought up legally, and again, I
Exactly.
didn't say, it said, one or the other had told her to call.
Well, I'm
Harvey
just here to
Cameron.
defend myself and say I have not made a phone call and I want that document.
Okay, and that's fine, you're on the camera, and we're recording this, but I'm saying one or the other, because she could not remember who had told her.
Well, they need to get in touch with Harvey and
Well,
find out
we've
which one
got,
or the other.
well, Debbie's the one that called me, is what he said, and that's what, we got a statement from the city reporter.
If I tell you something, you're gonna remember if it was me.
Well, so
Well, I mean, you're not gonna remember if it was her or her. If it was me, then you remember I was the one who told you.
Yeah. Well, and that's the reason we said one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's what the information we have, which will be part of the minutes, and yours will be too.
Well, I'm just here to defend myself.
Yeah. Well,
That's all
yeah.
I have.
And the Bibles have not sent us anything, and as soon as they do, we'll see what they've got.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So, there's that, but we got these documents, and we can go from where it's at, and the Bibles have sent us nothing. So, that's, I'm done, so I got to. So, any other citizens that want to be heard?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
All right,
Come up
so-
here, please. I'm sorry, but people want transparency and they wanna be heard, so we're all trying to be recorded.
Alright, so a couple of months ago, this issue about being in compliant and going back to what Tony just said and the fines and everything, Mr. Kilgore made a statement that he was gonna do the right thing to the people, but because the people were fighting against the truck stop, that was off the table. So my question is, if he acknowledged a couple of months ago that he was not in compliance, how is that not a fine still on the table? And what is the city gonna do to make him come into compliance? Or are y'all just gonna forgive everything and let him start a new business when he can't even complete the old business that he's not in compliance with?
Alright, now when was this documented and stated? Cause we
Well,
recorded.
your recorder don't record half of what you're taking down
Well,
in the minutes or anything, so you can't go back to what the city's supposed to have.
Well, I don't know where you're referring to, cause I wasn't here. You know what I'm
What
saying?
was a couple of months ago, Tony?
4 months ago.
Jessica? I can't remember if it was a county meeting, a council meeting, or a planning commission meeting, but it was acknowledged at that time. All I wanna know is, are y'all gonna do anything coming forward to make that come into compliance, or are y'all just gonna screw the citizens over and leave them be, just like they've been for the last 10 years with that mess out there, with mud running out in the road, fences falling down, cars sitting everywhere, trucks broke down, sitting in the, you know, I mean, the people's gotta look at that, and the city's done nothing for the people to make that a better space. The property owner's done nothing to make it a better space. So what are you gonna do now as a new council to make that happen?
Well,
Where are you?
people are gonna be in compliance, and I can't help what was recorded and was not recorded. But if you look over here tonight, we have a DVD recording. We're live recording.
I'm not the only one that heard that.
Well, I'm not saying, but again, I was not here, it's not documented.
So what are you gonna do to
So,
make it come
well,
forward?
We're trying to find out actually when compliance started and when it stopped, and all I can do with the documentation, and this council can do, and they have a copy of it from an attorney, from the city recorder of the process to help. Now I'm waiting on the other attorneys to get us their documents so we can see what they have. And they have not got it to us. I even called them and they haven't sent it to us. They said we would get them. Mr. Gillum said he spoke with them last Wednesday.
I spoke with him on last Wednesday.
Yeah, he has not, they have not. She talked to him today. They said we would have it by Wednesday. So then we'll be reviewing that and the determination will be made on what's there. Mr. Gary, while you're here, he brought up something, dirt in the road. Will you tell them what that you had issued based upon that garage when it was built, why it was gravel and dirt, please?
Okay, here's the deal, folks. And, I had.
Do you care to come to the microphone? I'm sorry.
No.
That way people can hear, I'm sorry.
I can remember 3 different times that there were issues out there that I had Rodney in the city court. The only thing the judge can do in city court is a $50 fine. If he finds you guilty and they continue with whatever, it's a problem, it's supposed to be $50 a day. Now, I don't know where it went from there. I know 3 times we were in court and the judge would sometimes give him an opportunity, and Rodney would have his attorney. He'd give him an opportunity to get it fixed and carry it over to the next court date. The problem is, there are no teeth in the ordinance for any city to do to really clamp down on property maintenance issues. When you can only fine anybody a maximum of $50, that's the issue, in my opinion. And there's nothing we can do about that. That's statewide, that's municipalities cannot fine anybody more than $50 a day.
While you're here, will you explain why there's not payment or contract there, concrete on that parking lot from years ago that the state advised you?
Okay, when the planning commission approved the site plan out there at that time, it did not have to be concrete. Gravel was okay. But don't shake your head back there, I know. I remember.
It says dust free, doesn't it?
The planning commission approved the site plan, and it was not approved, he didn't have to have a paved driveway. Gravel was okay. That's been a while back, I thought.
Gravel on it.
And I'm not gonna stand up here and defend anything that I've done, but the planning commission approved point, if that time was asked, why isn't that paved? And it didn't have to be. Gravel was okay.
That gravel.
Well, whatever.
Mud.
Whatever. Okay, mud, gravel was okay.
That's
at that
another issue for us to deal with now, but when it was done, that was the law. It wasn't that somebody was running behind not doing anything incorrect. Those are documented too. Deb, there should be DVDs for those meetings, correct? If you can find it in the minutes of ours, you can find the DVD, you can see that.
And as far as I'm concerned, and Nate, Jessica, this is our first time here. You know, give us a chance. You know, we're gonna do what I feel like is in the best interest of the city. I'm not going to not do it, but give us a chance. You know, I'm just now getting my feet wet. I don't have a clue, you know?
So, yeah, as I'll follow up. So what we've been trying to do is find out what was not in compliance, what fines were issued, and whether the problems were corrected. As of today, and really only about an hour ago, we know that there was at least one violation that occurred on this date. We have a signed letter from an attorney saying that he was asked not to pursue it from a certain date. So the next step for me and for the council is to find out, has this been corrected? If it has been corrected, then it sounds like there may be fines due from the time that this citation was issued until the time that the attorney was told to stop pursuing it. If there are others, so Earl just mentioned 2 other possible citations, maybe. So we need to go find out what those citations are, and we're gonna do that, but it's gonna take some time. We don't, and to say that there are a bunch of ongoing violations, that doesn't help me get to the details and the meat of the matter to figure out what those are. And we just haven't had the ability, and hopefully Mr. Bible will have that information. We haven't yet had the ability to figure out what those violations might be and whether they've been corrected.
Jack, do you mind me stepping in here a moment? Last week, was it last week? Jack and the court reporter, which is now Brandy Finley, went through everything she could find with any name, Rodney Gilbert. And the only thing we found went back to 2016. Now this is those records there. Again, I'm not saying this is it. I'm saying she went that far back. And that had went as far as court. Paul Cross was the attorney, and that had been dismissed. So you can't enforce something that gets signed off by the judge and by the attorney. So we will find out this information, but we're now waiting on Bible to get us the information. But everybody, Mr. Mann, is gonna be in compliance. We're gonna reduce liabilities, you know, we're gonna do our best, we're gonna make mistakes. And again, we're saying all we can do is buy the document, and that's the reason we record and we document. And it's gonna be in our minutes too. This will be uploaded as soon as we have a person that will work with us and will continue to do so. So we're trying to fix it, and then we have another situation. I'll just go ahead, the council's aware of that. Once we get this one situation cleared up, we're going to have to go back because the ordinances and the map are both incorrect according to our attorney. And we're gonna have to go back and address that before anything else is sold or bought. And then we're gonna have to address those in 2 parts. Are we aware of that? And so are the utility workers, correct? As far as recording, this is one of the reasons she has an audio recording, we have video recordings, and we'll have a DVD. You'll be able to utilize that.
And as far as the written minutes, the state says that all I have to record are motions. I can't record every word that's ever said in here.
And we're in the process, we're gonna set up a YouTube channel that you can watch these if you want to all day long. You know, I mean, I'm not being ugly, but you can watch it, but that's gonna take a little time, you know. And then you can go back, and if we make an error, we'll go back to this, and this is what we use as what we make any motions or compliance by. Does that answer your question, Mr. Mills?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Now, on a better note, we will be having a Christmas parade on December the 5th. Lineup will be at 3:45. Correct. Jessica and members of the community will be working with that, starting at 4:30. We'll be following CDC standards. We'll have one way in, one way out, one person taking pictures, everybody will be tipped that actually goes to see Santa after it's done. So we're being as safe as we can. The parade will actually start at 4:30. They start now at the VFW, is that correct? And we do have a few other things, a horse and buggy and some things, and the theme is country theme. If anybody wants to be involved, we're doing like the red bows and the green garland. I think I picked that out a while back. So we will be having a Christmas parade on December 5th. So there is a planning commission meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And so does the council have anything else?
Fall season starts next month.
Okay, well, ball season's starting.
First.
Yes,
Fall
ma'am.
season.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I'm Mary Beth Best. I'm a Monteagle citizen. I live in the cul-de-sac just on the other side of the park. Debbie knows me by email. I am quite a pest to her. She is tremendously helpful when she and how she can be. I have asked her some impossible things. I realize that, but I'm trying to keep a record of the impossible things that shouldn't be impossible. First and foremost, thank you for your service. Absolutely appreciate that, and do appreciate the method and the format tonight. Very different, very open, and really appreciate it. I just want to speak on behalf of the citizens. There is so much discussion and so much support for business development. Indirectly talking about the RBT development, huge. We realize that it's huge for the city. It's huge in tax revenue. It could be a great benefit to the city. That's great. But they don't live here. They don't work. They don't play here. They don't breathe the air here. They get to go home. The people that are here in opposition of the location, I want to be very, very specific. We are in really strong opposition of the location of that property. It was never intended to be a truck stop that abuts a person's home, where they sit on their front porch 50 feet from an idling 18-wheeler. So, what I want to say to you is although we hear every meeting how much money that they're going in debt, that's their problem. This is where we live. We have invested here too. We pay taxes here. We work here. We are contributing citizens that many of us have retired here. So we've taken this part of our lives and invested it in the city of Monteagle. And we are extremely passionate about our investment. So RBT is not the only one that has invested in the city. There are many of us that have not taken to this microphone, that have not made a big stink and shot birds at the neighbors on bulldozers. And, you know, we're not doing those things. We are quietly in our homes. We are doing our research, and you're right. This is a mess that goes way back. And you guys, we are going to hold you accountable. We voted for you. We're glad you're there, and we're grateful for your service, but you better believe it. These are citizens doing their homework. We've done our research. If you want to know something, come and ask us, because we've got research from 30 years ago. And we want the city to grow. We want it to grow smart. We want it to grow healthy. And we all want to grow old here. You know, we do. And we're not going to do that by living and breathing diesel fumes for the rest of our retirement. So you need to know up front that we are extremely passionate and very emotional about this issue. It's our homes, it's our lives. So we're gonna be here, and we're gonna be represented. RBT is not the only one that has representation, and there's a lot of us. So you're gonna be meeting all of us, and thank you for the opportunity. And Debbie, you're a saint. Thanks.
Again, before you step down, as we're not saying, I mean, that's the reason we're giving you the opportunity to speak. Rusty called tonight and asked to be, or not tonight, and now lay back and got put on the agenda. Anyone's welcome to speak, because we want to hear it. And once we sort it out, like we said, none of us like this situation. If it had been what we had planned in 2016, as you can see, it would have never happened. But that's totally
That's what I'm thinking.
that's, well, if you look here, now we can show you, this is not just an imaginary hypothetical situation.
That's right.
We invested, this was you, well, you wouldn't hear them, but this was community people, this was business people, this was employees, and this was children that put this together.
Yeah.
Well, it got lost. You know what, so we've got a situation and a map that we gotta fix. I don't know the outcome, but we know now it's in the court's hands, and we were advised by an attorney that we feel can advise us not only with this issue, but how to fix this from this point on.
And that's important, and I appreciate that, but I'll just bring to light a couple of things y'all were asking about. The Swanee Messenger, our official recorder, recorded in March of 2018 that this was sent. May of 2018 was that the fines were sent to change the record, and then all of a sudden they're gone. You know, you're right. Does the mayor even have authority to do that? And
No,
the
but I
other,
think it happened, you know.
it happened, but it doesn't mean it's right or legal.
No. Well, we've gotta address that
So,
issue too.
and I'll tell you what the other issues are.
Sure.
It's the dust free, it's in the ordinances, and it's the fence. Just go look at it. You know, the poor Nunleys and the Moons, I mean, they have just suffered the Terrells. And they have come to this council over and over again and been ignored. And we got involved just by being friends with the Terrells and what they've been through, and sitting on the Nunley's front porch and listening to their story of what they've been through with this current business. It's horrible. Their home was built when it was all residential. And I've asked Debbie, and bless her heart, she can't find them. Where are the votes? Where are the minutes, the votes that show that that residential was ever changed? All of a sudden, the Nunleys wake up and there's a truck service in front of them. How does that happen? And if we can't find a record of it, it didn't happen. So then we got the mess, right? You know, we got the mess that we got to clean up. But the other thing that we want Monteagle to do is you're going into a business partnership. Be smart. Be smart and go into good business, good longevity type business. It's going to be here forever. What you're going to have is a pavement. You're just going to have pavement. 10 years from now, what are we going to have there? You know, we're people committed to the city that are committed to be here for a long time. And we can't be thinking about what's 6 months or 6 years down the road. We got to be thinking about the next generation. And this is not smart business. It's just not.
If the two violations were dust-free parking lot and fence violations, do you have dates? Do you know?
I know
what
the
year
Swanee
we should be looking?
Messenger, it's in their archives. You can look it up. It's 2018.
2018 or early 2019 when Rusty Leonard and Mr. Kilgore walked in here and promised us they would take care of that fence. It would be cleaned, fixed. First, he promised that he would put black plastic across it to keep it from being see-through, because that was the ordinance. You couldn't see through it, basically. And then all of a sudden, there's black plastic on some of it. And then 10
And it's
months later,
falling down.
it's falling pieces.
Right from the
and then
Nunleys and the Moon's house.
But
It's falling down.
I stepped down that evening, and Rusty Leonard promised me and Mr. Kenneth Gibson that he would make sure that he would get in compliance.
And that's in the minutes. You can
And that's
see that y'all discussed it.
2018 and 19, so if it didn't happen, this is 2020, Jessica. So what did y'all do as a council to see it was enforced?
It went to change the court, and that's where it
That's
ended.
where it's
Nobody
supposed to went
knows.
to court, and he's
There's
supposed to
no
get
record
$5
of
a day.
it. There's no record of
There's no
that.
record of it in court.
There's no record of the judge.
It's
hearing it.
recorded in the Swanee Messenger.
Well, then let me clarify something here. And we're not using the Grundy County Herald.
Ah.
Well, no, we're also using the Swanee Messenger, but it has to be a paid-for paper. If you look at the definition, that's what got them into the problems with the time frame. It has to be a weekly paper. It has to be paid for. There's a definition of a newspaper.
That starts tonight.
Actually, that started this past week. I mean, the Messenger can still, we're still on utilize.
But they're not the official reporter anymore.
I didn't know they were ever the official recorder. Did y'all make them the official recorder? Jessica?
I don't remember that.
I'm not aware of it, so I don't know where that came from. When she reports for the news, and we want all the.
That was told to me by the council. I didn't make that.
I don't know, I wasn't
Yeah,
here.
she's always here.
You've been here for 4 years,
She's always.
but did you know they were an official recorder for the
I had no
town?
idea.
So I don't
Grundy
know.
County's the official recorder, that's what
Well,
you're
we're
saying.
not a
That's
recorder.
Tennessee
Any
statute.
public meeting will be in there from now on, that is paid for, because that's what the law requires. They're weekly, and they're paid for, and that is a definition of a newspaper when you run a public notice.
Okay, that's
Also-
fine, but does that mean that what they recorded in 2018 wasn't?
No, that's not saying that, I'm just
Official or-
saying, I don't know where there's no paper is the official recorder. The official recorder is going to be this right here. The
Great.
documentation that
Great.
we'll be doing from now, GCTV is going into a contract with us. Not only to provide us with coverage Thursday through Saturdays or Sundays, Stephen's working on that. Also to provide us with a DVD that we can keep as our own records. So we can't
But
use anything.
those are the records that keep us accountable to
Right.
the voters, which is different
Right.
from the records that force RBT to be accountable to the court clerk and the judge, and they're two separate things.
Mhm.
And so, if there were outstanding violations, they should have gone before the court. We haven't yet been able to find them in the court.
Right.
So maybe it was verbal at a city council meeting that they were told they would get in compliant, but that's different from an actual admission of violation within the court of law.
And that violation that you said was fixed, the stinky truck, I know all about that.
Well, all I know
They
is
cleaned
what,
up the stinky truck, but that wasn't what the real issues were. The other issues were longer, bigger issues.
and Judge Raines is sending us a document because he's the one that sent the violation down. He spoke to us tonight, and he'll give us something in writing for the next meeting. All we can do is go back to the people that did this.
Right.
Because there's no record we can find. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't done, there is notes and notations, but there's no recording. We can't find that, so we have to replace these things and where we're at today.
Right,
That's
but
the
you
best
bring
we-
it to current date, and like Nate said, you verify.
That's it, that's what
You
we're trying
check
to
and you
do.
verify, and just verify that he's in compliance, and if he isn't, then it's your job now.
Yeah.
If there isn't, we can issue new citations, and we
Sure,
can get that
yeah.
process rolling,
Right.
but we've gotta sort of figure out what has happened.
Right.
And we'll be dealing with those things as they're reporting now. I mean, that's the reason we have a code enforcement officer, the police will be dealing with it. So, but right now, we're doing it as quickly as we can.
Well, one other thing I'll say before I leave the platform is we are not, those of us that live here do not care if this is a rush job. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. Please be in careful prayer and consideration of all of the documentation, of all of the history, of all of those involved. Not just get your eye on the prize of big tax revenue, because that is short-lived. We're looking at, please, we beg of you, take your time, be careful, be considerate of everything involved, and there are so many issues around this. So, I understand they wanna rush, but if you rush it, you might miss something. Just do the due process and be careful.
But we're not rushing, what I'm saying, we're dealing with it as finding this information, going back to the sources, putting it together. We're not gonna piecemeal it, That's not how we work.
Great.
We work on facts.
Great.
Facts are not rumors, rumors don't work. There's a
Right.
lot of those out there, that we're gonna be fair to the town of Monteagle, because we're here to represent the town of Monteagle.
That's right. That's
Whether
right.
it be
Exactly right.
with RBT, or it be a trash compactor, or it be a parade, and that's what we're gonna try to do.
Or just little old folks that live here.
Well,
They're
that's what I'm
retired.
saying, that's what I'm saying, residents, I mean, that's
That's
the
right.
most important. You've got the town, you got the residents, you got the businesses, you got the
That's right.
employees, and you got the future. And again, that has always been our plan, and hopefully we can get these things resolved. as
And we
quickly as
are
possible.
truly, truly sincerely grateful for your service, because we know you gotta be doing it because you love it, because,
No, 'cause
no other benefit, I'm sure. Especially hearing from people like me, but we do appreciate it, and thank you for taking your time and going back and looking at the history of it, because it is a big tangled mess that needs a lot of help getting untangled.
Well, and all this will be even yours, everything will be documented, if anything was submit, we'll make it worth a minute.
I appreciate that, I do, I appreciate it.
Just get it to us.
Thank you, Debbie,
All right.
thank you.
Anyone else have anything else as far as citizens?
I think we're boring.
Okay, sorry. What, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.